Jock, so this is your Nova. Tell us about what you did here and what she is.
Look, I've always wanted a Chevy Nova. That's one of my favorite cars of all time. The other is a 57 Chevy, but I've scratched that itch already. So the second one was the Nova. But they were very, very scarce in South Africa. I've never seen one. The only other one that I know of is Leo Hishuka. He from Cable Lock. He imported one in 1999, a red one, a 67. But I've never seen a 66. So I could only get hold of a 62 Chevy, a 4-door, and I started chopping that into a 2-door, you know, just to also scratch the itch. And then my one friend phoned me from Rustenburg, and he said, look, he just found the Holy Grail. He found a 66. And I told him, well, what do you want for it? So he said, no, it's he's going to build it himself. So I said, well, look, if you ever want to sell it, I want first dibs. So he phoned me about a year later, and he said, you know, he's on his way to the States and he needs money, as we all do. He wants to sell it, which he did. He sold it to me, and at the time I was just a mechanic, and I couldn't really afford to pay for the car and go and fetch it because it was up in Rustenburg. And I left it there while I worked to make money to go up again. And so the car stayed there for about a year, and then I got a hold of another car and I needed money, and I told my one buddy, please sell the car in the junk mail because I actually need the money now, and I haven't seen the car even, you know. So, and he put the car in the junk mail up there and nobody wanted it. It was apparently pretty bad. And I went up and I went to fetch the car, and I nearly left it there. It was at Willie Hepburn's place at the time, where it was stored, and the car was really bad. The bonnet had flown open, taken out the front screen, the roof, and the roof was jumped in. It had been hit on this quarter panel here quite badly, so much so that everything here was destroyed. It had been hit up the back. I think they actually moved it around on the farm where it was lying with a tractor, and they just pushed it where they wanted it. And so yeah, it was pretty bad, but you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. So I just decided, look, get it down here. And I left it outside for about a year, just looking at it, and then eventually, you know, decided, look, let's jump in and get it done. So yeah, we started, and first started straightening all the exterior bits, the fenders, cutting rust out, the doors. I had the doors acid dipped, and turned out that the only usable parts were once again about to down here. So those were all new skins welded into place. I got a new quarter panel from the States. And I was lucky, I found a 4-door bootlet, also up in Rustenburg. Only thing is that the 4-door's got a longer bootlet than the 2-door, because they actually pushed the whole greenhouse flatter on the 2-door or on the coupe to make room. So I had to literally shave about 30 millimeters off the bootlet to make it fit onto the car. That was, yeah, the other side, all the area around the wheel arch was gone. I've replaced that. The bonnet I've repaired, and I put a reverse scoop. If you can look here, it actually breathes from the back. It gets the high pressure area at speed. There's a very high pressure area in front of the windscreen, and you can see on most of the NASCAR cars from the 50s and 60s, they feed the air in here from the back because it's nice cool air. You don't get the hot air from the radiator coming in. So I've made a reverse scoop in steel, and made a whole new front clip, because the Chevy was one of the first unibody cars back in the 60s, and it was pretty creaky and pretty, you know, no computers back then. It was all done with a slide rule, so it wasn't very well set up. So I made a whole new subframe from tubular steel, and I put drag suspension in front because it's available and cheap, and I narrowed it to get the wheels right tucked up under the arches, and I've also built a 50mm drop right into the suspension or into the subframe itself. So the car looks low, but it actually has full articulation in the suspension. Made some new inner fenders. Yeah, not that much work in front. the back, inside the boot, I wanted to run really wide wheels on the back, 285, 295, 300s, and there just wasn't room for it. So I went and they call it a mini tub. Actually widened the fenders towards the inside to get the wheels in, narrowed the diff, and also moved the leaf springs inboard. Interior, I bought the whole interior from a Mercedes, from Orbit Motors in Cape Town, the second-hand parts division. It's from a 124 Mercedes. The nice thing about it, it comes in leather, so you don't have to get it recovered. And believe it or not, it was a perfect fit. The back seat was, I just had to shorten the back seat, the squab, the bottom slightly. But the top part was a perfect fit into the back. So I like to use stuff from newer cars in older cars because it actually...
Well, it does give a little bit more comfort.
It does, yeah. And Mercedes, you know, there's nothing wrong with their seating arrangements. It's a really nice seat setup.
The color of the car, I mean, what color did you go for? What's the name of this color? I mean, this color
Actually,
is
I think it's a Chevy Spark, 08 Chevy Spark. I just saw the car parked by the side of the road now. You know, it's like a light going off. I actually wanted to make it M3 blue in the beginning, and because when I started the car 12 years ago, M3 blue was the color, and then eventually I decided to two-tone it because I'd already done the inside of the engine bay in blue, and then I decided I wanted to two-tone it in silver and blue because the silver on top will make it look lower. And then when I saw that that Chevy with this, it's like a copper, I think, with that on, and the way it played across the lines on the Chevy, I just knew. You know, it's like I said, like a light going off, and that color, that's a color that I needed. So yeah, it's been a labor of love. But you know, and I'll probably never sell her. It's you know, 12 years of your life that goes into something like this.
People think that building a car is a nice, quick few months type of thing, but every now and then you've got the project that just sits in the background and...
The project from hell, I call it, you know, because it seems to drag on forever and ever and ever. And, you know, I always, you know, a friend of mine said, how do you eat an elephant? And this is how you eat it. You take it bit by bit. You know, I tell people, don't look at the whole project. Look at one little thing at a time, because if you look at the whole thing, it's just too big. You've got to break it down into sections. And so, you know, I take a fender and then I'll finish that fender. It'll take me 2 or 3 weeks. It's fine. It's done. Then I hang it up. Then I'll do a bonnet and hang it up. And you know, by the time the other fender is done, you've got a third of the car finished. And a third is a lot of car that's done, you know. So yeah, in a year or 2 years, you can get a lot of work done, just piecemeal. You know, you don't have to break the bank or divorce. Well, maybe divorce, but once again, engine is basically 350 Chevy. Also, I like the camel heads. They're getting scarce and they're hard to find, but they pump up your power and torque quite significantly. So that's what we used here, a set of camel heads. Then I like keeping engine bays clean, which normally requires hiding stuff like wires away, pipes, filling holes in the firewall. I think we had about 48 holes here. I can't rightly remember. I just remember there were lots and lots of nights spending with a MIG welder and sheet metal, filling small holes in the firewall and smoothing it out. Small things that I changed. The original had a huge fruit, they call it a fruit jar master cylinder because it looks like a fruit jar. I changed that. I'm running a Toyota setup here because it basically works well with the brakes. It's also a 1-inch bore or 25 mil. It works well with the brakes front and back. And it's also a nice clean looking master cylinder. We made the branches up ourselves because the suspensions were narrowed so much that we had to basically build custom branches to tuck in behind them. And I also made up the air cleaner because I'm just sick and tired of seeing big chrome air cleaners. Yeah, why be normal? Try something different.
And I mean, this is sheet metal that you bent out to cover up all the wheel wells and that type of stuff?
Yeah, the thing was with making the new front end, we ran a pair of very stout bars from the firewall to the front, and I needed to cover that up, or you could see the front wheels at the same time. So
But they would also throw water into the car.
it will also throw water into the car and basically keep everything very dirty underneath. So bent up these panels to clean up the underhood area.
She's beautiful. I think, yeah, let's take her out and go do what we need to do and make her drive.
Okay.